Today we're talking about railroad crossing tickets. Let's discuss what the law requires, what the penalties are, and how a lawyer can help you. Let's break that down right now. Hi, I'm Derek Martin with Driver Defense Team. We're a Chicago-based law firm that handles a lot of traffic tickets. And one that we're seeing more and more recently is these railroad crossing tickets. Seems like we're seeing an awfully lot of them in the city of Chicago, many of them coming out of the south suburbs as well. And now any police agency can write these tickets, but one of the more common we're seeing them come from the Metro Police themselves. So they're a lot of times doing stings. They're posting out by railroad crossings and they're writing these tickets to a lot of different drivers. And so let's break down what the law actually requires. Well, the law requires you to stop before that railroad crossing. And you need to stop specifically more than 15 feet, but less than 50 feet from the crossing. So that's between 50 and 15. In that range right there is when you need to stop. And you need to stop when the following things are true. You need to stop first if there is a visible signal device. I mean, typically that just means the red lights are flashing, right? The second one is if the gates are lowered. So if those gates come down or are beginning to come down, you're not permitted to continue and cross. You have to stop 15 feet short of that. And then also if it's a flagger, like a person there who works for the rail yard or the rail company who's waving you to stop, you're required to stop then too. If you receive a warning or a signal from the train, obviously that means a horn. If the train is coming and it blows its horn, that's a signal that you need to stop by law. The other ones are if the train is visible or if it presents some sort of immediate hazard and it's closely approaching you, you obviously need to stop then too, but that's written into the law that way as well. And so 15 to 50, that's not something that's commonly known, so you're going to want to remember that. Typically, people know this. People understand the general sort of requirements under the law, but they still get the tickets, and it's typically for one of two reasons. People tell us they either got the ticket because of the timing, right? They were already on the tracks or approaching the tracks so closely that they had to speed through instead of stop. That's a matter of degree, right? That's a matter of argument. A police officer could sit there, see this, and believe that you could have stopped. You in the moment believe you couldn't stop. And so that is an argument in court, and you need to get a judge to agree with you. I mean, that's something we do often. Now, second is that you're sitting there, the gates are down, you have stopped, but there's no train. And so eventually you get frustrated and you're bored and you drive through, right? Or drive around the gates. Unfortunately, the law doesn't allow for that, right? The law specifically says if the gates are down, you cannot cross. So there is no legal exception for, if the train's not coming or if they've been down a long time. But again, that's something you can try to argue in court or something you can at least use to mitigate your situation in court. And because this typically does require a court appearance, and in court, if you are found guilty of this, the penalty for a first-time offense is a $500 fine plus court costs. So this can be pretty expensive. $500 fine is a lot for a traffic ticket. If you've had a prior one of these, and now this is your second conviction, you're looking at a $1,000 fine plus court costs plus a 6-month suspension of your driver's license. Obviously, that's not what you want. You don't want a second offense, but you don't even want the first offense. So oftentimes we can avoid this conviction going on your record. And so how do we do that? Well, if we're in court for you, obviously we're going to talk to the prosecutor, understand your story, talk to the police officer if necessary. We're going to review the ticket for errors, and we're going to look to get your ticket dismissed. If we can get it dismissed, that is great. Of course, that's not possible in every case. So if you have an argument for trial and you want a trial, like say for instance the timing like we talked about earlier, then we can have that trial and convince the judge that you did not commit this violation. Other times, we're simply looking to reach some sort of agreement, right? Where we don't want this conviction on your record. We don't want the penalties associated with it. We don't want the high fines. And so maybe we can negotiate that down. And we're successful doing that often as well. So it really depends on your certain situation and your desired outcomes. Like I said, we handle these all throughout Chicagoland. We'd be happy to discuss your particular situation and how we can help you. Give us a call, send us an message and we will have that conversation with you for free. We call it a case evaluation. And at the end of that case evaluation, we will provide you a price, one flat price to represent you on this whole ticket. So we're happy to do that if you want to reach out to us. At the very least, I hope this video was informative and pointed you in the right direction if you have received one of these tickets. Thanks.